Hi Scrubs, I hope you're well. This video is requested by Julie Lynn. In this video I'm going to be talking about excellency stars, but I'm also going to be adding on to the original video that I had and talking a little bit about the purpose of these excellency stars as well as breed variations. So, what are excellency stars? Well, to start off with, they're not these. These are the skills, and okay, they're stars that show up here, but these aren't the excellency stars at all. The excellency stars are always found on the genetic tab. Now, if you look here, this horse has no excellence stars, so you're probably saying, well, where are these excellency stars? Well, the thing with excellency stars, a horse will only receive an excellency star when it's got its first 100 skills in a particular skill. So if you look at this horse, the closest one it's got is stamina, which is 90. Now if this reached 100, this horse would get an excellency star. So I'm going to show you a different horse here. This is a horse that has reached 100 in stamina, and it's got its first excellency star. And it's got it in stamina, because none of the other skills have reached 100. Now, how does a horse get 2 excellency stars? Well, it's a little bit different. When it gets to 2, it's actually another 10 genetic skills in particular skill will add on. So for your first excellency star, the horse needs to reach 100 skills in that particular skill. After that, it's every 10 genetic skills thereon. So if we have a look at this horse here, this horse has got 3 excellency stars because it got 100 and then it got another 20 genetic skills and stamina. So there's another type of star called a red star. Now a red star is a little bit different to the green stars. A red star is awarded whenever you've obtained 10 green stamina stars. So instead of it displaying 10 green stamina stars, it will give you a red star instead. So you can see here that this horse had reached 190. So the first 100 skills gives it its first star, and those other 90 then give it another 9. So that's why you've got 1 red star here. If we have a look at speed, it's 120, so there should be 3 stars here. So you've got the first for 100 and then the 2 following for the extra 20. And then if we look at dressage, for example, there's 5 dressage stars. That's because the first 100 gives it its first star, and then it's getting very close to getting another star, but it just hasn't quite got it there. So that's where you get the extra 4 after that. With jumping, it's on 135 here, which means the first 100 giving it its first star, and then the following 3 from the 35. So that explains the green and the red stars. Okay, so let's look at a horse that has a lot of stars. So you can see here, the red stars let me know that this horse has got 9 red stars, and it's got another 5 green stars because it's got 95 stars in stamina. So in terms of how to achieve these stars, you need to be working with horses and building up on them in terms of their genetic potential. So using positive blup horses and breeding those, and the higher the genetic potential of the horse, the more stars they're going to get, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into how you achieve that because I have other videos that will focus more on that. So the next thing is, what is kind of the purpose of these excellency stars? In a way, it's really just a different way of graphically representing them to you, because some people like numbers, some people prefer the visual representation. And I do genuinely find if you're quickly going through, it's much easier to quickly look at the excellency stars than the genetics, unless you really need to exactly know a particular skill or maybe total or things like that. So in those regards, it's more a quick way of looking at it compared to this, because sometimes this stuff can go over people's heads. Whereas like if you say, oh, my horse has 200 excellency stars in stamina, or it has 200 overall stars, people can sort of get a rough idea what range that's going to be in terms of genetic potential. But there is another purpose for this, and we're going to talk about that now. So whenever you click on a horse's characteristics, and if you go to the breed and you click on whatever breed it is, this is going to be a Connemara, there's this thing called the breed variations on the page, okay? So if you want to find that, you need to just go into community directories and then the particular breed, and then you click on breed variations. So in the breed variations, okay, this page shows you the developments of a Connemara breed. Their improvements have been achieved for generations of crossbreeding. They're the fruit of a strict selection of only the breed's finest examples. You can also click to only show the purebred horses. So this is where only the purebred of that particular breed will be displayed. Okay, so if we just go back here a second. Okay, I'm going to explain something. So say for example you bred your Connemaras stallion to a Frisian mare, okay? or you breed your Connemara stallion to a French trotter. Okay, now French trotters typically, depending on what server you're on, are very, very good in trot. Connemaras are not very good in trot. Trot's their lowest skill. So if you were to breed a really good Connemara with the best French trotter on the game, for example, chances are your horse would end up in the breed variations, because your crossbreed would be the first Connemara with really, really high trot excellency stars, okay? Because it'll been the first of its kind. This is what the breed variations is about, because some people also, even in the in the purebred area, will breed for different traits to another team. So that is just something to bear in mind. Like, for example, if I click on this horse here, I know that this horse was the first Connemara on my particular server to get 336 excellency stars, because I'm breeding the best Connemaras at the moment. So that is just a way that you can go in and say, okay, did we get the first one? You know, really, I personally prefer going in and looking at the overall genetics, which is displayed in the horse rankings. So if I go into best horses and I click on genetic purebreds and then I go specifically to Connemaras, I prefer to look there because then you can see automatically. But the breed variations is another way of looking at it, and it's also another way you can actually go and have a look and see if somebody else has done something. The only thing I will just mention though in here is it only displays a certain amount. After a while it doesn't. So don't be like, oh, I have the best horse, I have the best Frisian crossbred in trot, because you may not, because this only displays the latest breed variations, the latest things that people have done. You can see these here only go back a couple of days. So, it's not the best place to look at it, but it's a place that you can kind of go in and see. If you're looking at more specifically at purebred horses, maybe it'll be a little bit more helpful. This goes a little bit further back in those terms, because like, for example, if my team was breeding new Connemaras every single day, every hour, this would probably go a lot faster, kind of like the crossbreds do. But because my team's kind of going slowly, okay, the purebred developments on the server are a little bit slower. So that is kind of the purpose of the breed variations in that respect. Excellency stars are just kind of another, different way of looking at it, and, a way that I think some people find easier. Not everybody, some people prefer looking at the actual numbers. I kind of like both for different reasons. So that is an overall look at excellency stars, what the purpose of them is, and the breed variations and how the excellency stars come into play in there. So thank you very much to Julie Lynn for requesting the video. I hope you had a lovely day, scrubs. Bye!